We begin the Gemara today, the second line from the top of Chav Tes Amud Aleph. Going back to what it said in the Mishnah, B'Tisha B'Av Nigzar Alav Yiseinu Shaloi Yikonsul Haaretz. So amongst the 5 things that happened on Tisha B'Av, what was the first thing that happened? This is the day that was decreed upon the Yidden that they shouldn't go into Eretz Yisrael. From where do we know that was the day? In other words, the Meraglim, as we'll see in the Hemshech of the Gemara, came back from Eretz Yisrael on Chesov, and then on that night the Yidden cried about the fact that they don't want to go to Eretz Yisrael, and then on that day, the next day, Tisha B'Av is when the decree happened. So the Gemara goes through the Cheshbon from when they built the Mishkan until Tisha B'Av. The Chsiv, the Pasuk says, Vayihi b'chodesh harishon b'shana she'enis b'echad lachodesh. And it was the first month of the second year after they came out of Mitzrayim, so this is Chodesh Nisan. Hukam HaMishkan, the Mishkan was erected. V'amamar, and it says in the Braisa as follows. Shana Rishayna, during the first year of the Yidden leaving Mitzrayim, Asa Moshe es HaMishkan. That's when they built the Mishkan. Right after Yom Kippur, they got the mitzvah to build the Mishkan, and then afterwards they built it. And then Shniya, the second year, in other words, Chodesh Nisan, the second year, Heikim Moshe es HaMishkan. So Moshe Rabbeinu puts up the Mishkan. And then V'sholach Meraglim, he sends Meraglim to Eretz Yisrael. Uksiv, so we'll see in a moment when he sent the Meraglim. So the Gemara goes through the Cheshbon as follows. Uksiv, the pasuk says, Vayi b'shana shenis b'chodesh hasheni be'esrim b'chodesh. So it's in the second year. In other words, now this is a month later, about a month and 20 days later, on Chof Iyar. So the Naila ha'onan mala Mishkan, the clouds that was on top of the Mishkan rises up. A Mishkan Eidos, that is, and that's a sign that the Yidden are going to be traveling. And Ksiv, the pasuk says, Vayisu mehar Hashem derech shloishis yom. Yidden traveled for 3 days, so they traveled Chav Aleph, Chav Beis Iyar. Rav Chama bar Chanina, so Rav Chama bar Chanina said, Oisei hayom saru machrei Hashem. Is on that day, after 3 days of traveling, they turned away from the Eibishter. Ksiv, the pasuk says, V'ho asafsu fasher b'kirboi. Hisavu taive, vayeshuvu, vayivku gam b'nei Yisrael v'gayim. The Yidden then cried, they didn't want the mon, and they were complaining. It's the whole story there where David gave them the slav. So that was what took place then. It all started on Chav Beis Iyar in that year. Ksiv, and then the pasuk says, At chodesh yamim v'gayim. That this whole story lasted for a month. The Havaluhu, so this brings us to Esrin v'tartan b'sivin, to 22 days in Sivan, from Chav Beis Iyar to 22 days in Sivan. Uksiv, and the pasuk says, Vatisage Miriam Shivas Yamim, at the end of Parshas Ba'aloischa. So then Yidden had to wait for Miriam. She became a Mitzeras, so they had to wait for her 7 days. So from Chav Beis Iyar, another 7 days. The Havaluhu Esrim V'Tisha B'Sivan. So now this brings us to the 29th of Sivan. Uksiv, and right afterwards the Torah says, Shlach L'cha Anoshim, and that's when the Meraglim was sent, on Chav Tes Sivan. Tanya, and we learned in the Braisa, Be'esrim V'Tisha B'Sivin Shalach Moshe Meraglim, that it was the 29th of Sivan that Moshe Rabbeinu sent the Meraglim. Uksiv, and then the pasuk says, Vayeshuvu mitura Aretz, they came back from the Eretz Yisrael when Miketz Arboim Yom, after 40 days. So after 40 days, from Chav Tes Sivan, this should bring us to Chesov. So the Gemara asks, Hani Arboim Yom Naki Chad Hava. This is not 40 days, but this is actually 40 days minus 1. This should only be 39 days. So Rashi here makes the Cheshbon, why it's only 39 days. So you have 2 days from Sivan, because it's Chav Tes Sivan and Lamed Sivan. Sivan is usually a full month, so it's 2 days from Sivan. And then Tammuz is usually a month that only has 29 days, so there's 29 from Tammuz, so that's 31. And then if you want to come to Chesov, that's another 8 days, so that's only 39 days. It's not 40 days. And for the Gemara, Merabaye, Tammuz, Dahi Shaita, that year, Tammuz, Meluya Malyua. It was full 30 days, even though usually Tammuz is 29 days, but that year it was 30 days. The Chsiv, there's a pasuk that says, Kara alai moyed, the Eibishter calls on me a set time, which means the Eibishter established this month that it should be a 30th day, lishboy bachurai, to crush my young ones. In other words, the day of Tisha B'Av is that day, that's a day of tragedies for Klal Yisrael. And the Eibishter establishes the month that it should be an extra day, and it comes out to be on Tisha B'Av. Uksiv, and the pasuk says, "Vatisa kaleida, vayitnu es kailam vayifgam balayla hu," that they all cried that night. In other words, after Chesav, that night going into Tisha B'av, that's when the Yidden cried that they don't want to go into Eretz Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Yechanan, that Isai Yom Erev Tisha B'av Hoya, the day Meraglim came back was Erev Tisha B'av. Amar Lama Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibusha says to the Yidden, Atem b'chisem b'chiyah shel chinam, you cried, crying for nothing. Vani l'kevei alechem, and this day will be established b'chiyah l'deiris, crying all future generations. As other things that happen, the Gemara is going to go through them now. So the Mishnah also said that this is the time when the first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. From where do we see this? Tichsiv, because the pasuk says, in the 5th month, in the month of Av, and it was on Zayin Av, the 7th day of the month. Hishnas Chayas Rishona leMelech Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel, the 19th year of the king Nebuchadnezzar. Ba Nebuzradon Rav Tabachim, Nebuzradon, one of his generals, which is called Rav Tabachim, a butcher. Eved Melech Bavel Yerushalayim Vayisreif as Beis Hashem v'Gomer. So in this pasuk it says that he burnt the Beis Hamikdash on the 7th day of Av. Uksev, in another pasuk it says different. Then on the 5th month, in the 10th day of the month, Hishnas Chayas Rishon leMelech Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel Banav Uzradin Rav Tabachim Amad Lefnei Melech Bavel Yerushalayim v'Gomer. So here it says that he burnt the Beis Hamikdash on the 10th day of Av. So what does this mean? The Tanya, so we learned in the Braisa regarding what happened as follows. You can't say the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed in the 7th day. In the other pasuk it says the 10th day. You can't say it was on the 10th day, because it says it was on the 7th day. So Hakeitzad, what happened there? B'Shiva, on the 7th day of Av, Nichnasu Nachrim LaHeichel. The Goyim came into the Beis Hamikdash. Va'achlu v'kilkulu boi shvi shmini. They ate there and they destroyed there on the 7th day and on the 8th day. Uchi samach lachashecha. Then on the 9th of Av, close to the end of the day, hitzisu b'yishaor. They made a fire there. Va'yedailik v'hailech kolayim kulay. And the fire there burned the rest of the day, and it burned into also the rest of the night, according to another girsa here, shalasiri. That this goes on the rest of the next day of the 10th day. Shenamar, so where do we see that this happened towards the evening? Pasuk says, Oilanu kipana hayayim, the day is gone, kiyintu tzlali erev, and the shadow of the night spread out on us. So v'hainu da'amar Rabbi Yechanan, this is what Rabbi Yechanan said regarding the time of the Churban, ilmali ayisi, ba'isa aday, if I was there at that time, like kavativ, I wouldn't establish the time of the fasting for the Churban Beis Hamikdash elabasiri, on the 10th of Av. Because most of the Beis Hamikdash was burnt on the 10th of Av. The fire began on the Tisha B'av, but not most of it was burnt on the next day. So why don't we follow what Rabbi Yechanan said? It's like the Gemara, the Rabbanon that were there then, they say aschalte the puranusa adife. The time when the punishment begins, when the Beis Hamikdash was lit in fire, that's stronger, that's harsher, and therefore we fast on the Tisha B'av. But the halacha actually is that even until the next day after Tisha B'av, 10th of Av, we don't do anything like it's treated like the 9 days until Chatzais the next day. This is the reason, because the Beis Hamikdash was mostly burnt on the 10th of Av. There's an interesting point that the Rebbe says in the Sikha regarding this opinion of Rabbi Yechanan when it comes to the halacha of a mazik. If you light a fire and it reaches someone else's property and this is the mazik of maver, of a fire, why is Rabbi Yechanan says, why are you chayiv? Because it's like you threw an arrow and your arrow reached the other person. So you can't say it has nothing to do with me, the arrow. It's not that. It's your arrow. The fire that you light is like your arrow. So if so, according to Rabbi Yechanan, so since the fire, it begins when you throw it or when you light it, so according to Rabbi Yechanan's own opinion, so the ikr of when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed should go according to the beginning, when the fire was lit. So then why does Rabbi Yechanan over here say that he would have established it on Asiri B'av? So the Rebbe says this klal of Isha Mishum Chitza is only by a human being. Once he releases the arrow of his hand or once he makes the fire, it's out of his control. So the action that's done is done already. By the Eibishter though, that concept of Isha Mishum Chitza doesn't exist. Even once the fire began, every moment that the fire continues burning, the Eibishter can take it back any moment, even though the Goyim put on the fire, but it's all the Eibishter orchestrating this. And therefore, according to his opinion, he says the fast should have been on Asiri B'av. Sagt die Gemara weiter. Ubishniya. Now, in the second base of Mikdash, Minalan, from where do we know that it was also destroyed in Tisha B'Av? The Tanya, so we learned in the Brisa that says, Megalgal and Schus liyom zakai v'choyva liyom chayiv. When you have a day, a meritorious day, so the Eibishter brings other merits on that day as well. And when you have a day that's a chayva, that's a day of tragedies, the Eibishter brings other tragedies on that day. So Amru, they said, Keshachara Beis HaMikdash Barishayna. When the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed the first time, Oisai Yayim Erev Tisha B'Av Haya. So that day was an Erev Tisha B'Av. And Matzah Shabbos Haya. It was also a Sunday. It was the day after Shabbos. Matzah Shviyas Haysa. And also was the year after Shemitah. Umishmarta Shayahayariv Haysa. And then the one that which group was working in the Beis HaMikdash, the family of Yehayariv. Va'alaviyim hayu aimrim shira. And the Levium was standing in the Beis HaMikdash and they were singing for the karbanis that were brought in that day. Va'imdim al duchanam. They're standing there on the platform. U'ma shira hayu aimrim. Which shira were they saying? Va'yashav aleim esainam. The Eibishter brings upon them their iniquities. Uvara'asam yatzmisem, and with the things that they do bad, the Eibishter cuts them off. And v'lo yispiku loymar yatzmisem Hashem Elokeinu. They didn't complete the pasuk yatzmisem Hashem Elokeinu at shebo nachrim v'kofshem. And the Goyim came and conquered the Beis HaMikdash, and they had to stop singing. So this was on Erev Tisha B'Av. And v'chein b'shniya, and exactly the way it's described here of what happened. They were in the middle of singing, and the Goyim came in. This is the way it happened in the second Beis HaMikdash. The next thing it said in the Mishnah was Nilka de Beitar, the city of Beitar was conquered. So how do we know this happened on Tisha B'Av Gemara? This is a tradition. Nechre Sha'ir, the last thing it said in the Mishnah was that on Tisha B'Av, so Turnusufrus Rasha, if I remember correctly, came and he plowed the whole place of the Beis HaMikdash. So Tanya, we have right here. So we learned in the Braise, Keshechorav, Turnusufrus Rasha es ha'echel. When he came to destroy the Eichel and he plowed the whole area. So at that very same time period, Nigzera Gzeira al Rabbi Gamliel, there was a decree upon Rabbi Gamliel, which was the leader then in Klal Yisrael, Lahariga, that he should be taken out to be killed. So Ba'ad Nechad, so one minister came, Va'amad beBeis HaMedrash, and he stood by the Beis HaMedrash, and Va'amad, and he said, Ba'al HaChaytim Misbakish, Ba'al HaChaytim Misbakish. The one with the nose is being searched for. The one with the nose is being searched for. What's this expression of Ba'al HaChaytim? So Rashi says it's a sign of someone that is a man of stature. Just like the nose sticks out of the person's face, it refers to a person with stature. Or Rashi says it refers to a Gadol Adar. Over here in another Girsa in Rashi it says just like the nose beautifies the face, so he's the beauty of Klal Yisrael. So he was basically trying to get the message out to Rabbi Gamliel, be careful for yourself. They're looking for you. Shama Rabbi Gamliel heard it and got the message, Azal Toshem Minayu. He ran and hid, he ran away from them. So now Azal Gabei B'tzina, so this minister went and found where Rabbi Gamliel was in hiding. And he said to Rabbi Gamliel, if I will save you, will you bring me to the Tailam Abba? So Rabbi Gamliel answers him, yes. So this minister says, Ishtabali, swear for me that you will. Ishtabali, he swore to him. So this minister, this Adon, went up to a rooftop, Nafil Umis, and threw himself down and died. Why did he do this? So the Gemara explains a Gemiri, so we know the Chigazri Gzerta, that when these Romans, when they made a Gzera, Umis Chad Minayu, when one of their ministers died, Mevatli L'Gzera Sayo. Then they decree this decree they made. Rashi explains, because if someone dies amongst them, so then they think to themselves that probably he died because of the decree they made. So after he died, so that itself annulled the decree. Yatus Abaskal came out Vamra and said, this master is invited to come to Chaylam Abba. When the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed the first time, so groups and groups of the young Kohanim gathered together, and they had the keys to the Heichal in their hands. They went up to the roof of the Heichal. They said to the Eibishter, since we weren't faithful gizbarim, faithful caretakers, so let the keys be given back to you. And they threw these keys upward. And this image of a hand came out, and it received the keys from them. And they jumped down and fell into the fire. And Va'aleim, Kainin Yeshaya Navi, Shayahu Navi, and regarding them, Yeshayahu Navi laments and says, Masa Gei chizayin, that the chizayin that you see, what did they see? Malacha Eifoi, what do you see over there? That Kialisa Kulach Legagais, that they went up to the rooftop, and this refers to this incident here. Shuais Malaya Ir Humia, the city is full of vatumul. Kirya Aliza, the city that was always joyous. Chalolayech, you have now the people that are dead there, not from a sword and not from war, but this is from the Churban of the Beis HaMikdash. And Avba Kadosh Baruch Hu Nema, regarding the Eibishter, it also says, Mekarkir Kir, the Eibishter screams out, and Vishoya Lahar, and he cries to the mountains regarding what happened with the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Mishenichnas Av, Mematim B'Simcha Chulu, when the month of Av comes in, so you minimize joy. Am Rav Yehuda, Berei, the Rav Shmuel, Bashilat Mishmei the Rav. Kishem, Shemishenichnas Av, Mematim B'Simcha. Just like when Av comes in, you have to minimize Simcha. So Kach, Mishenichnas Adar, Marbim B'Simcha. So too, before Adar comes in, so you have to intensify the Simcha. Before you turn the page, take a look in the last Rashi on the Amud. What's Adar that you have to intensify the Simcha? So Rashi says, Yimei Nisim Hoyel Yisrael, Purim or Pesach. Because you have the days of miracles, Purim and Pesach. So this is a famous Rashi that Mefarshim point out. The Pashtus, the Gemara is talking just about Adar. Why does Rashi put in Pesach there? So some Mefarshim say that Rashi wants to say that what happens like this year, we have a Shana Muberes, the first Adar and the second Adar. So which Adar is the Mishenichnas Adar? So Rashi is telling you Purim and Pesach, that it's the Purim that comes, the second Adar, where you have Purim together with the Pesach that follows. Well, not the first Adar. But the Rebbe once said that the Pshat in this Rashi is actually Punkt Fakert. Reason why Rashi says Purim and Pesach is because just like regarding Av, the reason why Mishenichnas Av Mematim B'Simcha is because the day of Tisha B'Av is not just one tzara happened, but Chuchbala B'Yatzaris. There's a few things that happened on the same day. The reason why Marbim B'Simcha is not just because of Purim. The Gemara tells us that when you get to Purim, the whole source of the miracle of Purim came from Moshe Rabbeinu that was born on Zayin Adar. So the birth of Moshe on Zayin Adar was Geirim Sai, the Geula of Pesach, and Sai, the Simcha of Purim. So because that one day Zayin Adar brings two Simchas to Yidden, two Geulas to Yidden, so that's why it's Daimet to Tisha B'Av in the negative, and Mishenichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. So according to this Pshat, it goes in the first Adar, because Zayin Adar of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Yemeledus of Moshe Rabbeinu, is an Adar Rishon, as the Gemara says in Saita. Rav Papa said, Hilkoch by Yisrael, this leidina ba'adi nachri. A Yid that has a court case with a guy, l'shtamet minei ba'av, so if it comes the time of Av, you should avoid him. The Riyah Mazale, it's a time of a bad mazel for Yidden. The limtzen nafshe ba'adar, and he should make himself available for this guy. In the month of Adar, the body mazle, because Adar is a time that has a strong mazel for Yidden. The Rishayim already here bring up the question, how could you say that it has a strong mazel for Yidden if the Gemara says, Ein mazel Yisrael? The Ritva asks the question, there's no mazel for Yidden. The Rebbe spoke about this many times, especially in Tafshin and Beis and Chodesh Adar, and the point basically is that even though the Gemara says, Ein mazel Yisrael, but there's another way to read that. Ayin mazel Yisrael. Yidden have a higher level of a mazel, and that higher mazel of Yidden is strong in the month of Chodesh Adar. The Gemara here brings another pasuk. Ayin. The simple pshat is that the regular level of mazalois, which is the ashpa that comes through the kaiches of teva, Yidden are not under the kaiches of teva. So therefore instead, ayin, which is much higher than say the ishtalshalos, that's the source of the ashpa for Yidden. The Gemara here brings now unrelated pasuk, but it's bringing it the same amayre that darshan the previous pasuk is darshaning this pasuk. Lasis lachem achres v'tikva. When Yidden went into Galus, Bavel, so the Eibusher says, I'm going to give you something in the later and something to hope for. So what? Even in the time of Galus, that is. Some Rav Yehuda berei, Rav Shmuel Bashilat Mishmei Rav. What is this? Elu de kolam u'klipishton. This refers to the fact that in Bavel there's a lot of palm trees and there's a lot of linen garments, and this is something that will make it easier for Yidden during the time of Galus to have parnasa from the trees, and to have what to wear. Another pasuk that he darshaned, the same Amayre, also unrelated. This is when Yaakov came into Yitzchak and he said that he has the aroma, it smells like the garden of the Eibishter. Amar Rav Yehuda berei Rav Shmuel Bashilat Mishmei Rav Kireach Sadeh Shel Tapuchim, like the smell of an orchard of apple trees. That's a simple pshat of the Gemara. Taisus here actually says that some say that the Tapuchim is like the reach of a sroigim. Sagt the Gemara, Shabbos shel chol Tisha B'av liyas b'soich asurun l'saper l'kabes. That week that Tisha B'av falls out in it, you're not allowed to do any laundry or take a haircut. Amar Rav Nachman says, Leishanu ela l'chabes v'lilbosh. What's not allowed is, if you're washing your clothing, to wear them. Aval l'chabes l'aniach, but if you're washing your clothing during the week of Tisha B'av, and you're leaving it to wear after Tisha B'av, mutter, that's allowed. Rav Sheshes says, Afilu l'chabes l'aniach aser. Even to do laundry and to leave it for after Tisha B'av, that's also not allowed. As Rashi says, because a person is doing laundry during Tisha B'av, so that looks like he's taking his mind off the Avelus of this time. Rav Sheshes brings a rayat his opinion. Teida, the Batli Katzri, the Beirav, because the launderers in the house of Rav were off. They didn't work during the week of Tisha B'av. If you're allowed to do the laundry for after Tisha B'av, so why were they off? They could do the laundry for afterwards. Rav Amnuna asked a question from what it said in our Mishnah. So it said, B'chamishi, that on Thursday, mutarim ipnei kavod HaShabbos. You can do the laundry for the honor of Shabbos. Now, what exactly is going on here? Lemai. For when? He's doing his laundry for Shabbos. So ileime l'chabes v'lilboish. So if the pshat here is that on Thursday, he's doing his laundry, and he's actually going to get dressed right away with his laundry for right now. So in other words, what we're talking about over here is that when was Tisha B'av? Tisha B'av is on a Friday, right? If he's doing his laundry on Thursday and it's a Shavua Shachal by Tisha B'av, and on Thursday he's still not allowed to do his laundry, so that means that the Tisha B'av was the next day, on Friday. So he's doing his laundry on Thursday in order to get dressed on Thursday with this laundry, so then, my covet Shabbos. Why are we saying that he's allowed to do his laundry on Thursday for the honor of Shabbos? It's not the honor of Shabbos, he's getting dressed with it now. Elo, so what does this mean? Lahaniach. He's doing his laundry on Thursday. Tisha B'av is on Friday, so you can't do his laundry on Friday. And then when is he going to wear it? On Shabbos, after Tisha B'av. So you see over here in our Mishnah that it's saying that for L'Kovet Shabbos, you're allowed to do the laundry before Tisha B'av and then wear it on Shabbos after Tisha B'av. So B'chamishi Yudishari. For this reason, for Kovet Shabbos. Avla Shabbos Kula, but the rest of the week, Aser. If you're going to be doing it in the same way that you're doing the laundry during this week, but you're leaving it for after Tisha B'av, would be forbidden. So you see, like the opinion that said, like Rav Sheshes said, that even to leave it for afterwards, it's not allowed. So the Gemara, no, not necessarily is this the pshat. La'olam, really the pshat over here is l'chabes v'lilbosh, that he's washing his garments and he's getting dressed with it right now. He only has one garment to wear, so he's wearing it and he's getting dressed right now with it. Okay? So then again, like I said before, Tisha B'av is on Friday. So it's L'Kovet Shabbos because he can't do his laundry tomorrow. It's Tisha B'av. But when he's doing his laundry today, he's going to wear it right away. So therefore, he's not just wearing it for Shabbos, he's wearing it today as well. If a person only has one shirt to wear, he's allowed to wash it and wear it in Chol HaMoed, even though usually you don't do laundry in Chol HaMoed, but if he only has one garment, so he's allowed to do it in Chol HaMoed. And therefore, we see that the same thing is over here, benegeh to this Thursday, even though it's a Thursday, that he's going to be wearing it today. He's not only going to be wearing it on Shabbos, he's wearing it today, but you're allowed if you only have one garment. It's Manami, Amar Yamin, Amar Abelazar, going back to the Machlokes before, regarding doing laundry during the week of Tisha B'av, and you're leaving it for later. Leishanu ala lachabes v'lilbaish. The Isser of doing laundry is only if you're wearing it before Tisha B'av. Avala niach mutter. But if you're going to leave it for after Tisha B'av, so then it's allowed. But now the Gemara will refute this, and from this following Braise here. So Meisvei, it says in the Braise, Asa l'chabes l'fnei Tisha B'av, you're not allowed to do laundry before Tisha B'av. Afilu la'niach, the Braise clearly says, Afilu la'niach la'achat Tisha B'av, even if you're leaving your laundry to wear after Tisha B'av. Okay, so this is right away refutes this opinion. But the Gemara brings the rest of the Braise. Giyutz shalanu. Our giyutz, which literally giyutz means ironing, or the way Rashi describes over here, this giyutz, it sounds like dry cleaning. Kikibus shalahan. So our dry cleaning, which is then in Bavel, is similar to the way in Eretz Yisrael they would wash their laundry. So therefore, you're not allowed to do this dry cleaning during the week of Tisha B'av. Uklipishtam, but the garments that are linen garments, ein ben mishum giyutz, there's no isser of doing this dry cleaning with these linen garments because it doesn't launder it properly, so it could be done on the week of Tisha B'av. So this clearly refutes this opinion that was brought before, that you can do the laundry during the week of Tisha B'Av if you're leaving the clothing for after Tisha B'Av. Going back to this detail that was mentioned in the Braisa regarding linen garments. Even though it says that the Kli Pishton, that when you launder them, it doesn't wash it properly, so it's not like everything else, you're not allowed to do the laundry. However, you shouldn't wear them, even when it was laundered, you shouldn't wear them in this week that Tisha B'Av falls out in it. So now the Gemara brings up another machlokes regarding this whole thing. Amarav, when we talk about the week of Tisha B'Av, so which part of the week is it referred to? So Rav says, Loishanu elu lefanov. This refers to the days before Tisha B'Av in this week. Avala acharav, but the days of the week that are after Tisha B'Av mutter. Then it's already allowed to do everything you need in the laundry or anything else. Shmuel says, Afilu la'achrav. Even to do laundry in the week of Tisha B'Av, even after Tisha B'Av, is also not allowed. Name yasser. Meisvei, so the Gemara asks on Shmuel, and here there's a clear brayso that refutes the opinion of Shmuel. Shabbos shachal Tisha B'Av liyas b'seicha, a week that Tisha B'Av falls out in it, asa l'sapel l'chabes, you can't take a haircut or do laundry. Ubechamishi, but on the Thursday, mutar, and it's allowed to cover the Shabbos for the honor of Shabbos. Now the brayso spells out, Keitzad chal liyas bechad b'Shabbos, if Tisha B'Av is on a Sunday, so then mutar l'chabes kol Shabbos kula. So then you could do laundry the entire week. Clearly not like Shmuel. After Tisha B'Av, you could do the laundry. B'sheni, b'shlishi, b'reviya, b'chamishi. If Tisha B'Av falls out in any of these other days of the week, so then the fun of Asr, before Tisha B'Av it's not allowed, but la'achrav mutter. After Tisha B'Av it is allowed. Again, clearly not like Shmuel. Chali is bad if Shabbos, if Tisha B'Av falls out on Friday, so then mutter l'chabes b'chamishi, you can do your laundry on Thursday, mipnei cover the Shabbos for the honor of Shabbos. If you forgot to do the laundry for Shabbos on Thursday, that is, so you can do your laundry on Erev Shabbos, even though it's Tisha B'Av, as long as you do it in the afternoon. Now the Gemara interrupts this brayso and says, Layat Allah Abaye. Abaye would curse someone that would do it this way, that he actually did his laundry Friday afternoon on Tisha B'Av. Or it was Ravacha Bar Yaakov, regarding this last thing of doing it on Tisha B'Av and Erev Shabbos. The brayso continues. Now this is not relevant directly to our sugya, but the Gemara brings the conclusion of the brayso. This is regarding the Kriyas HaTorah on Tisha B'Av. So if Tisha B'Av comes out on a Monday or on a Thursday, Kaiden Shloisha, so you read there are 3 aliyas, or Mafter Echad, and then the Mafter is the third person, B'shlishi. Umafter echad. The third aliyah is the mafter. Now, b'shlishi b'revi, if Tisha B'Av falls out on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday, kaira echad is just one aliyah, umafter echad, and that one aliyah also is a mafter, says the Haftarah. Rabbi Yossi says, la'olam kairin shleisha. Whether it falls out on Monday or Thursday, that we always read 3 aliyahs, or it falls out on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, there's always 3 aliyahs, umafter echad, and mafter is the third aliyah. So either way, what do we see from this brayso of what it said before? Tiyuf to the Shmuel. It refutes clearly what Shmuel said. After Tisha B'Av, even in the week of Tisha B'Av, there's no issa to do your laundry. What it says, Amalach Shmuel, I will answer you, Tanoihi. This subject is a machlokes Tanoim, and he brings there another 2 braysos that says clearly like his opinion. The Tanya will learn in the brayso, Tisha B'Av shechali is b'Shabbos, Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos itself. V'chein Erev Tisha B'Av shechali is b'Shabbos, or Erev Tisha B'Av is on a Shabbos. So then, Eichel, V'shaise, Kol Tzarka, you can eat as much as you want. Umayla Shulchana, you bring food on your table. Afilik Sudas Shleime B'shaita. Even like Shleima Melech, that what is in his height of his Melucha. As we know, Shleima Melech had different kufis in his Melucha when he was a king and when he was thrown off his throne. So even when Shleima Melech was at his height. And then the Rebbe used to speak about this, right? In this kind of a kfiyas, that in the other Rebbe should be mahader to eat as much as possible, that there shouldn't be any sign of any mourning on Shabbos. And then the Braisa says you're not allowed to take a haircut or do laundry starting from the Shchaydish already. In other words, not only the week of Tisha B'Av, but from this is the makar of the concept of the 9 days, from the Shchaydish until the fast. Divrei Rab Meir, that's Rab Meir's opinion. Rab Yudah says, Kol HaChaydish Kula Yaseh. The entire month of Av is also to do laundry or to take a haircut. Wow, no laundry for an entire month. You're only not allowed to do these things that week of Tisha B'Av. But when he says that week of Tisha B'Av, it means the whole week, even after Tisha B'Av. So this is the source for Shmuel's opinion. Another brayso says similar v'tanya yidach v'noyeg evel mirish chodesh v'adat tainis divrei Rab Meir. So as we said before, Rab Meir says from Rish Chodesh until the fast, the 9 days. Rab Yudah says kol chodesh kula yaser, the entire month. Rab Shimon Gamliel eina eisa ela eisa Shabbos b'vat. Rab Shimon Gamliel says only that week, including after Tisha B'Av. The Gemara now explains the source of all these Tanaim. Rab Yecher and Shloshdan Mikra Echad Darshu. They all, the source of them, they all had one pasuk. Chsiv, the pasuk says, V'ishbati kol mesoisa, I will seize all of its joy. Chaga, Chodsha, v'Shabbata. The Yomim Tovim, the Rish Chodesh, and Shabbata, which literally refers to Shabbos. So now this is the way they darshan it. Man dama mirish Chodesh v'adat tainis, the one that says that you start mourning from Rish Chodesh. So mechaga, he learns it out from the word chaga. He says that chaga refers to Rish Chodesh. Rashi here brings that Rish Chodesh is called a chag. The previous Gemara actually, we just had Kara Alai Moyed, and over there referred to the designated time of Rish Chodesh. So therefore we see from here that you start the morning from Rish Chodesh. The one that says the entire month is Aser, Mechatsha. He darshan from the word Chatsha, that the Eibusher takes away joy from the entire month. The one that says that the entire week is Aser, Mishabata. He learns it out from the word Shabbata, which refers to the entire week. Okay, let's just conclude this Inyan until the end of the Inyan here. Amar Rave, so Rave said, Halacha Rab Shimon Gamliel. We paskin like Rab Shimon Gamliel that says that only the week. And also Amar Rave, Halacha Rab Meir. Now we also paskin like Rab Meir that we start from Rish Chodesh. So what does this mean? What did he mean to say that we paskin like Rab Shimon Gamliel and like Rab Meir? They didn't say the same thing. So the Gemara explains with Tarvayu L'Kula. What he meant to say is that we're going to paskin like Rab Meir and Rab Shimon Gamliel regarding the lenient aspects of their opinion. And the Gemara explains now. It's Tzricha, and he had to say both of these, because what he wanted to say is as follows. If we would just say that we paskin like Rab Meir, so then I would think, that when does the morning begin? It starts from Rish Chodesh. So that's why he's saying that the halacha is like Rab Shimon Gamliel. And what does Rab Shimon Gamliel say? That you only start the morning from the actual week of Tisha B'Av, not from Rish Chodesh. Now, but on the other hand, Rab Shimon Gamliel, if you would say that the halacha is like Rab Shimon Gamliel, then then I would think that the morning continues in the week of Tisha B'Av, even after Tisha B'Av. That's why I said the halacha is like Rab Meir, that says that the morning is only before Tisha B'Av and not after. So he's taking the two lenient aspects of both of these opinions, which is that the morning is only the week of Tisha B'Av, but only before Tisha B'Av and not after Tisha B'Av.